It says, shortly after they walked inside, he said, I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah, that
That
wasn't a
is what is.
physical threat.
Oh, what? What is that?
Well, she's saying I'm going to call you an abuser and I'm leaving. And he says, "Well, if you're I think what he's saying is if you're leaving, I'm going to fuck you up. If you walk out on me, I'm going to fuck you up." There's no history of physical abuse. I don't believe he's ever raised a
Correct.
fist at her
I,
ever.
I agree. But the threat of physical abuse was there. What's
Am I
up?
on? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I
Fine
listen.
to be on the Tomfoolery show.
Yeah, lucky you. You were on Destiny earlier, and now you're working your way on up to the Tomfoolery show. So,
Yeah. Big moves, big moves.
hmm yep, yep,
One
yep.
at a time. Gotta take it slow.
Yeah. So I was listening to you talk to him today about the Crowder stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna go ahead and come right out like and say this, okay?
Okay.
Listening to you talk about this
Okay.
sounds like you are hardcore projecting things about your own mom.
Yeah, I can see how people would say that. But I don't think even if I was, even if I give that to you, I don't think I said anything wrong about their relationship.
So you said that her wanting to leave was
Mm-hmm.
abusive.
Well, not exactly that. I think I said if she doesn't have a good reason to leave and her husband's going in for chest surgery soon and she's going to have babies soon, I would say for her to leave at that point, at the very least, shows serious immaturity on her side in a time of, where they should be relying on each other.
Not even. You were talking about the fact that he wanted to have the conversation and she was trying to leave. And then you even said that like her leaving shortly after that too, like she was saying like I'll be back when I'm back was messed up, and that she eventually left later on, and that there was something wrong with this, whereas like your mom obviously just took off and has just kind of like abandoned you guys. And so I yeah, I felt like it from my perspective, listening to the entire conversation, that's what I was getting from it, is that you were very critical of her for leaving in the way that she did.
Well, what I would say is like at first I was like very anti-Hillary, and now thinking about it, it's like I don't want to bash her. It's not really my place. Like I think her actions show a serious lack of maturity. But I do think, I mean, if the roles were reversed, right? And she was the one who was pregnant sitting on the couch and he walked out on her, I think everybody would say that's terrible to do to your wife who's about to give birth. So I do think it's wrong to walk out on your partner. Yeah, I do think that's wrong. If there's no abuse, and I don't think there was any clear abuse.
Well, so I don't think there's clear abuse either. But I think he's using abusive language. Like, I I I think that there's like you did you see me have this conversation with your dad?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so him and I talked about the Steven Crowder stuff the day that it came out, and he kept like doing a lot of what you were doing in that conversation, where you're like, well, it could be this, it could be that, well, maybe this happened. And I kept telling him like, bro, but we don't have that information. Like, that's not information that we have. We can only go off the information that we do have. And right now, the information that we do have shows him being abusive. It could be that right before that clip starts, she is being insanely abusive and saying all sorts of horrible things, and they just cut all of that out and start it right when he's right when he's going in on her and being defensive of himself. But
Well, I'm
we
sure
don't
you
have that information.
Well, I'm sure you saw what I said to Destiny. What I said was I don't think he was. I don't think he was being abusive in that clip. And what it eventually came down was Destiny said, "Well, it's down to his tone. He shouldn't have taken that tone of voice with her." But the things he's saying, I think I got him to say like telling somebody that you want to hold them to a higher standard and saying like, we agreed that you would do these things as a wife and you're not doing them. that's okay to say, but it's
So
just the tone.
it's not just the tone, it is the tone and what he's saying, right? If I say, because yeah, and he clarified this numerous times, and you kept saying, oh, okay, so you are just saying it's just a tone thing. And he was like, no, it's not just a tone thing. He clarified this numerous times. Like, it's what he's saying and the tone that he's using. Um,
Yeah, but he
like,
essentially agreed that if he had said this stuff in a calmer way, that he wouldn't have had a problem with it. So it's about the tone.
right, but again, it's not just about the tone, because he could use that same exact tone and say, want to go out and play with the kids, and the tone would not be a problem, right? He could say that, use the same exact tone and say, hey, well, I'm going to go mow the lawn, and it wouldn't be a problem. It's not just the tone, it is the tone and what he's saying.
Well, I think with the context that she herself said she fled the home, which means she didn't come back, and then divorced him filed for divorce a few months later, and then releases this video and this like ambiguous family statement, which like obviously is her, or at least, you know, her writing it.
Yeah, or her
And
family.
okay, but even if it's her family, like who is this family? Somebody should be held responsible for these allegations.
Well, I
It,
mean, yeah, of course. Like,
to Yashar Ali, a known scumbag gossip
yes,
journalist, like no journalistic
I
credentials,
wouldn't
and an
even call them a
abuser.
journalist. That's a
Yeah.
stretch. That,
Well,
yeah,
doesn't that
calling them a
right?
journalist is a stretch. But again, we
Right.
don't have to go off any of that. Again, we can just go off just what we see in the video. I don't care about that freaking guy. I think that even just alone, the fact that he's going to show us this video and then tell us after we watch the video that, oh, also I have this recording of where he says, I'm gonna fuck you up, and then, but I'm not gonna give that to you. I'm not going to show you that recording. I'm going to show you this other, like, very ambiguous recording instead, and the very objective, like, horrible thing. I'm not going to give that to you. Like, yeah, that is that person's a piece of crap. They are not a journalist in any way,
Yeah.
and they write like
Okay.
a 5-year-old. So,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's a terrible article. But okay, so let me ask you a question. Can I be on screen? Can I see you? I hate talking to profile pictures. Or at least can you
Yeah.
cam up on Discord? I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm talking to nobody. Okay, there we go. Okay. So, um, do you think it's okay for men to express frustration and anger towards women?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you think it's okay for men to express frustration and anger towards pregnant women?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't care that
So,
she's pregnant all that much.
okay. So, where do you draw the line? Because apparently you draw the line at his behavior. What?
Yeah. Okay, so it's based on the scenario. We can look at the scenario. We can see that she is in distress, that she is having a hard time with it. The fact that she's pregnant can make us, like, understand why she's feels in distress, right? Like, that's more common with somebody who's pregnant. But the fact that she's pregnant doesn't change the fact that she's in distress. It just kind of signals more so that she's probably, like, her hormones are probably all out of whack. She's probably very emotional, that sort of crap, right? Um, and
Sure.
so
But he's
with
also
her,
stressed because he's going in for like major surgery in a few days. So, what is on your fingers?
these are I just got these things today. They're like fidget things. I'm always
Okay.
like fidgeting with my screen, and then
Mm.
anybody who watches my stream, they will see out of nowhere, like, text just like popping up on the screen out of nowhere, and then I
Mm-hmm.
disappearing. It's because I'm constantly highlighting stuff and unhighlighting it, highlighting it and unhighlighting it. And after, sometimes my computer will, like, skip for half a second, which will make it to where I drag the text onto the screen and then drop it there, and then all of the chat that I just dragged on is, like, covering my screen. So yeah, I got something so that I will stop doing that. But anyways, so yeah, so
Okay.
based on the situation, we know that she looks like she's, like, highly stressed. She's having a rough go of it. obviously, yes, him having to go in for surgery is one thing. I don't think he's all that stressed about it though. Like I've had surgery numerous times. I don't get super stressed about it. My hormones don't get all of out of whack because I'm going to go have surgery. Like these are very different situations.
It was pretty major surgery though, and he had bars put in his chest, and he did have his
Mhm.
lung filled with fluid afterwards due to a complication. So it was pretty major. I mean, his heart was only pumping at half the rate that like a normal heart pumps blood at. So his
Yeah, his
doctors
heart
probably
pumps
told him
Kool-Aid.
his doctors probably told him to relax. So I think they're probably both stressed out.
Sure,
It,
but again, I'm not just talking about stressed out. Like her being pregnant lets us know that her hormones are all out of whack. She's not just stressed out. Like she's probably an emotional wreck. Like you I've had numerous girlfriends who get really stressed and then they can't think. Like they literally, like their brain is just jumbled. It's just mush. Like it doesn't work anymore. And we have to just like chill things out. Normally I would have to like do something to get them to calm down, or they would just have to walk away for a while. Normally walking away was just going to like piss me off more. So I had to calm down to get them to calm down, and I would like, hug them or, something like get them to chill out for a minute so that we could finish having a conversation and like actually come to some sort of resolution. He's not doing that though. He's not doing anything to like come to some sort of resolution. And her language is like toning down. She's talking in a calmer voice. She is like giving other options for how they could come to a resolution. He's pretty stern
so
on what
wait,
he wants in this scenario.
do you think that if women are acting irrational, that men should just like kowtow to that and just say like, "Okay, honey, I'll calm you down," even if they're wrong?
I think that in order for you to have a conducive conversation with somebody, you have to expect that they're going to be in a mental state to have that sort of conversation. Yeah, of course. Regardless of whether they're a man
Okay.
or a woman. But
Well, I mean, I think sometimes heightened emotions can be okay. Like, I mean, for example, I mean, Destiny like lit he he literally like called Gusting for smoking a cigarette, right? Okay, is that abuse because he was like yelling at me for smoking a cigarette? Because that's, I mean, he was saying like you shouldn't do this. You should, it was
this is
close.
what I'm talking
You
about.
could say,
You're just really not getting it. Like you keep acting like just the yelling is the thing. It is not just the yelling.
well, he called
It
me
is
disgusting.
that who cares? You're not in a relationship with Destiny. Destiny has like there isn't like this emotional connection between the two of you. You have no commitments to each other. It is totally different.
Yeah, he should be more respectful of a stranger, and you can be much more honest with your partner, right?
But you're talking about like acting civilized now. We're not talking about being abusive. These are two very different things. Being kinder to a stranger and talking to them in a more civilized way has nothing to do with whether or not you're being abusive. When you're
Okay,
in a
but this whole thing,
relationship with somebody, that's when it becomes
well,
abusive. Like
okay, two things. First of all, so do you buy this like the whole period thing? Like you have PMS like 2 days before your period, then you have your period and you're basically irrational the whole time, and then afterwards you're recovering. Like, do you buy that every month
yeah, of
from your
course.
girlfriends?
No, yeah, well, not that I buy it from my girlfriends. My girlfriends would get upset if I ever said that, but scientifically, yeah, of
You
course, that's the case.
no, you know that's bullshit, right?
No, it's not. I've literally read books on this. Like this is the case. Estrogen flows through your brain. So men, when they first start going through start going through puberty, they get like a higher level of testosterone and they get very emotional and have like rage out moments and all sorts of things when they're younger, right? But their brain gets used to the testosterone levels and then evens out. Women's brains never get used to the estrogen levels because the estrogen levels do not even out. They don't stay the same. They are ever changing all the time. So, of course, it's actually going to change your emotional states.
Yeah, but it's women use it as a way to get out of things. It's
Sure, and
not
I'm
it's
not.
it's it's
That's
it's
different.
extremely
That's
overblown.
different. That is
It's a
different.
little bit different.
No,
It's
no,
a
no,
little
no,
bit
no.
different.
That is no. I am saying whether or not they can use it as an excuse to say, like, oh, I didn't really, I shouldn't be held accountable for that. That's totally different than whether or not they are actually emotional and irrational. They can be actually emotional and irrational. They still need to be held accountable for the way that they're acting. That is not the same as believing that they are emotional and irrational.
But they're not irrational. The emotions are slightly heightened, and so are your appetites for like
Being
a
more
couple days.
emotional makes you more
Slightly.
irrational. We know this. We are all well aware of this. Being more emotional makes you more
Really?
irrational.
If you're more in tune with your emotions, it doesn't necessarily make you more
This is
irrational.
cap. This is cap. You are freaking nuts. You know this. I have literally listened to you talk to your freaking, what do you call him? Your e-boyfriend or whatever, telling him that sometimes he needs to put you in check. You need somebody who is going to put you in check. Why do you need
Mhm.
that? Why do you need that, Grace?
Oh, women are crazy, yeah. Doesn't give
No,
us an
we're not
excuse
talking
though.
about crazy. Sometimes you get emotional, and when you get emotional, you get irrational. That is what you're talking about.
Mm, I I think you see emotions as a negative thing.
No, I do not. I do not. You are saying that just because they get emotional and irrational, that this is a negative thing. I'm saying they can get emotional and get irrational. This is not necessarily a negative thing.
So you're claiming like women can't get used to the flow of estrogen that occurs when we have our periods. Like we're just crazy when it happens. We just get irrational. We don't get used to it. Is that what you're saying?
You know that's not what I'm saying. I literally listened to you do this with
You
Destiny
said we
like
never
10
get used
times
to it.
where you
You
keep
said we
like
never get used to it.
rewording what's happening, but you word everything like when you would reword what Destiny's saying, you would reword it in like the most hyperbolic manner, but then you would reword things that like that Steven Crowder was saying in the most like downplayed charitable manner ever. Like you don't have to reword things. I'm not saying anything about people being crazy. I'm not saying about anything about them being erratic. I am saying when people are more emotional, they are more irrational. That's it. That's all I'm saying. That is obviously true.
You said women never get used to that. They never get used to it according to their brains. They never get used to it. That's not true. Women learn that like during a certain time, thing
I
like
said their
yes,
brain
your
never
emotions
gets
are
used to it.
okay, but your emotions are a little bit higher and you learn to control it just like men learn to control their aggression.
Yes, that is
Women are
different than your
not fun like
brain controlling it. You, as a person, can say, I know I am in this time where might have like a heightened level of emotions. And so I can go ahead and plan for this and think ahead and know that I might not be thinking rationally. You can think this ahead of time. And yes, try to like plan those things out. But that doesn't mean that that's not going to happen. Now, of course, you can't help the way that your brain chemistry works. You can't change that.
yeah, but I mean okay, so you're saying she's stressed out in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What does that have to do with him being abusive?
So, like I said, if you're going to have like this type of conversation, you're going to need to have this conversation at an appropriate time. I think if it's like, it could be the case that she has refused to do this stuff 100 times before this, right? And every time he's like, "Hey, what the hell? Why aren't you doing the stuff? Why aren't you walking the dogs? Why aren't you giving them their medicine?" And she's like, "I can't do this. I can't do this. I got to get out of here. I got to go. I got to go." And she just dips off, right? It could be that this has happened 100 times before this,
Yeah,
but
but
we
you
don't have
okay,
that context.
but you say the appropriate time, but this was literally and the like one of the last conversations they have. She says herself, she fled the home. She did not go back to him. And
No,
then
she did go. No, no, no. She fled to home later. It was like a month later. She came back that day,
okay, well even so,
and he moved out a month later.
she was leaving though. She was leaving. He was saying you're giving up. You're giving up on this relationship.
She
So
said, "I'll
you
be
say
back when I'm
appropriate
back."
time.
She said, I'll go get your groceries." She said, "I'll do this stuff, but right now I'm leaving." That's what she said. And then in the article, it says that she came back and then he moved out a month later.
Yeah, but didn't she leave and then he had a surgery, she gave birth, he had the complication surgery, he bought a townhouse and then she moved back into their old house. Isn't that what happened?
Maybe, but she didn't leave that day, is what I'm saying. So she left, but she came
No,
back.
she
So it said that she
but she came
fled
back to
because
their house when he left, right?
no, not as far as I understand. No. So she left that day. In the article, it says that he threatened her. He says, I'm going to fuck you up. And she fled to get away from him, thinking that he was going to be physically abusive or something like that. But it says that a month later, he moved out. There was nothing there to say that she was gone for a long period of time after that day. It sounds like she
But it
came
doesn't
back.
say she came back that day. Not in the article. It
It
doesn't.
doesn't say she came back that day, but she says in the video she's coming back, and it doesn't say she didn't come back that day
But she
either.
says, "I'll be back when I'm back." That's not about.
With
That's not.
groceries, with
Well, yeah,
barbecue.
but she said she needed time and space, though. She said she needed
Yeah.
time and space. She'll be back when she's back. That doesn't mean she'll. That doesn't necessarily mean she's coming back. That's a way of
Again,
saying like I am going. I'm getting out of here.
okay. Do you think she's offering to go get him groceries to come back a month later with it? She's going to get barbecue to come back a month later? She's taking
I
his
think she's
car
saying.
to come
I
back a
think
month
she's.
later?
I mean, well, it doesn't make. Okay, I know that it looks in the video like she's just going to get groceries, but it doesn't make sense. Why would he say, "I can't go to the
She's
gym.
not
I
just
can't."
going to get groceries. She's leaving to get space, and while she's gone, she's going to get groceries. While she's saying, I'm leaving one way or the other. If you want, while I'm gone, I can go get these groceries. Because she's coming back. She just needs space. And he's saying, well, just go get an Uber. Like that, but it,
But
she's taking his car. So
But so then,
obviously she's
okay,
coming back.
but she included in that video that she fled the home, right? I mean, obviously that's what she said, right? He didn't put that in the video. He didn't leak the video. So she said that. Whoever edited the video, even if it was her edit, right? So what does
Yes, but
fleeing the home mean? That
after they
doesn't mean
went
like I'm leaving
inside,
for a little while.
after they went inside, he physically threatened her. She was scared and ran out of the house. That's
He
what
did
the
not
article
physically
says.
threaten her. It doesn't say
In
that.
the article, it says he said that he was going to fuck her up. It says shortly after they walked inside, he said, I'm going to fuck you up.
Yeah, that
That
wasn't a
is what
physical threat.
Oh, what? What is that?
Well, she's saying I'm going to call you an abuser and I'm leaving. And he says, "Well, if you're I think what he's saying is if you're leaving, I'm going to fuck you up. If you walk out on me, I'm going to fuck you up." There's no history of physical abuse. I don't believe he's ever raised a
Correct.
fist at her
I,
ever.
I agree. But the threat of physical abuse was there. He has never
No, I
been
don't think
physically
so.
abusive. Then what does it mean? You still have not answered. Your answer to me asking what does I'm gonna fuck you up mean is well he said I'm gonna fuck you up. That's your answer. I want to know what does that mean then.
I'm not if you're going to go there and call me an abuser and take this legal, then I'm going to fuck you up. I'm not going to let you walk all over me like a doormat. I'm going to take my actions as well. And he did. He hired a divorce attorney. Supposedly, according to this piece where they say he chose not to be there for the birth of his twins when he was getting surgery. There's no context given for why he said that. But why do you assume it's a physical threat when there's no history of physical abuse? Why do you assume?
Nobody talks like that. Nobody says I'm gonna fuck you up like metaphorically. When you say that, it is a physical threat. I agree. He's never it says right after he says that, like it says in the article, there is no history of physical abuse, there's nothing, there's no cheating or anything like this.
Also,
but that
we
doesn't
don't
mean
even
there's not threats of this.
But we don't know he said that, right? Because he never
Correct.
admitted that he said
Correct.
that. And it's
correct.
Right.
But in that case, we don't know that she fled the house either, right? We're going on what the article said. The article says he said, I'm going to fuck you up, and she fled the home. She ran out because there was this physical threat that that doesn't mean that she never came back or anything like that. It meant she was running away because she felt like there was a physical threat.
Well, you're reading that into it. She doesn't say because there was a physical threat.
No, it says, I'm going to fuck you up. I'm not reading into it. I'm going to fuck you up is a physical threat.
Give me a break. That's a physical threat. No, Steven Crowder's not the type of guy who would hit a pregnant woman.
You are coping so hard.
How is that a physical threat?
You can... That's what that means. I've been in a million fights. I can tell you for sure. I'm going to fuck you up. Has 100% of the 100% of the time meant that they were going to fight me. That is always what it means.
Okay, but it doesn't make any sense. There's no history of physical abuse. You can say I'm going to fuck you up, and mean it physically, but you can also say like, I'm gonna fuck you up. I am not gonna let you do this and just let you walk all over me. I'll fuck you up if you do this.
Yes, but again, you're adding in that context. We don't have that context.
But you're adding in the physical context.
No, I'm not. I'm gonna fuck you up by itself is a physical threat. You
You
have to
believe
add
that he
in other context to change it. He has said over and over on his show, I have a ton of clips of him on his show talking about the fact that he has anger problems and that he has this Jekyll and Hyde sort of thing with himself where he's really nice and fine. And then out of nowhere, he gets irrationally crazy and scary and mad. And it's, yes, like I think that he would threaten somebody. I don't think he's actually going to hit anybody. But I think even when he's saying things like, watch it, the way that he says it, yes, it sounds like a threat.
Okay. Well, you're just he he never touched her. He let her go, and
I'm
no
not
man
saying
in
that
his
he's
right.
actually going to hurt her. I'm saying that it's a threat. It is a threat. I'm not saying that he actually was
Okay, so
going
it's
to hurt
so
her.
it's but how is it a physical threat? So what is his point in making that physical threat? You're saying it's just an outburst?
We don't know, but we do know that I'm going to fuck you up is a physical threat. We don't, again, this is what my argument with your dad was. Like, we have to add in context to change all of these things, but we don't have that added context. We only have what we have. We can go off of what we have and say this is what it sounds like. We can say at the same time there could be other information that will totally change what this sounds like. I'm not willing to say this is 100% what this is, but I am willing to say this is what this sounds like, and this is the information that we have currently.
Well, I just think you're wrong. I think you could say like I'm gonna fuck you up in court, and that's perfectly fine. That's not a physical threat.
Okay,
I'm gonna fuck you
okay,
up.
okay. Which is more likely when somebody says, I'm going to fuck you up? That they're saying it like metaphorically for a court scenario, or they're saying it in a threatening way? Which one is more likely?
With a man,
This is a test to see how honest you are even capable of being in this conversation right now, because this is so far-fetched. I'm willing to buy that it is a possibility that he's talking about court. But for you to just totally... I'm like saying, like, I could buy that this is a possibility,
oh,
but you are
Tom,
not
okay,
even
I agree with
giving
you.
me... Okay.
I agree with you. It's generally
Okay.
used in a physical context, but there are also a
Okay.
lot of other contexts. And the likelihood that a man who's been married to a woman for 9 years who's carrying his twins is making a physical threat towards her is extremely unlikely when there's no history of physical abuse.
I've never hit my
And,
girlfriends, but I threaten them all the time.
oh, baby. I like that.
Just kidding. Yeah, apparently you need somebody to keep you in check, so...
You can use your fidget toys. They probably would make a good, what do you call this? Knuckle? What do you call it?
Brass knuckles.
Brass knuckles, yeah. Plastic knuckles.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Probably won't hurt as much, but I'll still like it. Okay, go ahead.
So again, based on what we know, it sounds abusive. He is using abusive language. It doesn't mean that necessarily he was actually being abusive, but it does mean, based on the information we have right now, it sounds like he's being abusive. We can
Why
make
is
up
it abusive to tell somebody that you're going to fuck them up in court if they do this to you? Why? Why isn't that fair to say? Just because she's not raising her voice doesn't mean she's not also making aggressive moves.
You realize that we don't know that information. You keep having to add in new information that we do not have.
Even if you say, I'm going to fuck you up. Why is that abusive? I'm going to fuck you up. If you do this to me, I'm going to fuck you up. Obviously, he's saying that. He's saying the whole time, don't do this. You give up so easily.
Yeah.
He says you're just going to leave me
that's
here?
a physical threat. If it is a physical threat, that is obviously abusive, yes.
But it is obviously not physically a threat. He's not physically threatening his wife. You think she's afraid of that man? You think she's afraid of him physically? He's sitting there.
That she was acting as soon as he stood up, where she like kind of like curls up. Yes, she looks like she's afraid of him. She backs up twice when he like leans forward. Like
she moves towards him and she walks right by him, and he let her leave. He didn't put her on her.
Yes, of course. I'm not disagreeing that, like, obviously she's lived with this guy for a long time. I'm not saying that there is actually physical abuse, but I am saying, yeah, of course, she would be afraid of him. If he's saying, I'm going to fuck you up, of course, she's going to be freaking terrified.
You can read that context into it, that it's a physical
I'm not
threat.
reading into it. You're adding context to change what that means.
But
We both
within the
admit,
context of the situation,
no. We both admit that most of the time, I'm going to fuck you up means I'm going to hurt you. It's a physical threat. You have to add a new narrative to change what that means. I am not adding anything to get that reading from it. I am taking it as it is. You have to keep adding information to change what things are saying, but you don't have that information. You
but
you
is
don't have that information.
so it's not important to look at words in context because there are other ways
It
that you can
is.
say
You
I'll
don't
fuck
have
you
that
up.
context. It is important. You do not have that context. You are just
You
making it up.
No, but we do have the context. She says, "Stephen, your abuse is sick."
Mm-hmm.
Right? So she's saying, "I'm going there. I'm calling you an abuser," right?
Right.
That's a crazy line to cross with your husband of 9 years. If he's not really an abuser, you're totally breaking his trust. He's saying to you now, like, okay,
Sure, if
you're
he's not an
taking it
abuser.
legal. Yeah, right, you're taking it legal. And people say, well, of course he's abusive because of what he said to her. He asked her to be like a better wife, and he asked her to say, like, he's obviously saying, you commit. The thing is, they're acting as if like she's stuck in this relationship. She committed to like a Christian marriage with him, and he's saying, and obviously she's not fulfilling her wifely duties. She as much as admits it, she didn't feed the dog its medicine, right? She, it's like there is some evidence of this, and also just by her actions, she leaves the guy, divorces him, and then releases this tape when he says he wants to keep it private for the kid's sake. Who's the immature one in this situation? Who's the abusive one in this situation? Doesn't the context matter?
Well, so we don't know that she actually released the tape. The article keeps saying he had that information from a documentary. He says that numerous times that this was gathered from a documentary. I don't know what documentary he's talking about. There's no documentary on this guy. So I have no idea what he's talking about. I think he means documentation, but I'm not sure. He
Mm.
again, he talks like a freaking 5-year-old, so I don't know. But um
But I mean, yeah. But
but again, yes,
obviously,
I
she
will agree.
saved it.
If she's actually like, yes, if she's not doing her duties, if she's not doing like, her wifely duties, if she's like, if these are things that she's supposed to be doing, if these are things that they agreed on, he's obviously the breadwinner, he's the one who's bringing in the bacon, she's a housewife and all these other things. Obviously she has responsibilities. It's fine for him to want her to do her responsibilities. That's fine. Nobody's saying anything about that. We're talking about the conversation, the way that he's talking to her, and the atmosphere of that scenario. That is what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, I know you're going to say I'm projecting, but I am talking from experience here. I've seen this happen in real time where what happens is, okay, there's a woman who's overwhelmed, okay? She's not doing what she said she was going to do. My mother, okay? Let's just get into it. Fine, let's go there. My mother was she said she was going to homeschool us. She didn't homeschool us. She said she was going to be like a trad wife. She didn't cook, she didn't clean. She was very overwhelmed. So, like she had psychological problems. Okay. Totally understandable. Right? She had 6 kids. She thought she knew what she was getting into. Okay. But then when I think this happens a lot, when the woman realizes that she's committed to something, that she actually has psychological problems that are preventing her from doing this, right? She feels an incredible amount of guilt because she knows that she brought kids into this world and she's not doing right by them, and she feels incredible guilt. And so what she does is that guilt is so overwhelming that she turns it on the father. And then I've seen this happen, okay? The husband starts to say like she starts to get angry at the husband because she's saying like somebody has to be to blame for this. And it can't be me. I can't take all this guilt on. Okay, just let's just say this woman really is like not making it happen, okay?
Wait,
And
real quick.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I get it. We have no reason to think that she has psychological problems, though.
Well, he did say she has, I mean, he is saying that there are medical records that showed that she's been evaluated to have, what was it? Of like she's a verse, and she has a psychiatric history. She has psychological problems. I'm not a big believer in that, but I do think
Wait, what does
there
that
is
mean? A
evidence.
verse? What are you talking about? I thought they
She's
just
a
went to therapy and yes, and she's just like averse to conflict. That doesn't mean that that's like a psychological problem.
oh, well, it is. Conflict is healthy to solve things. It is, she
Sure,
has
but that's not a
problems.
psychological problem. Like being conflict avoidant is not a psychological problem.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Conflict is healthy to resolve things.
It's fine. It's not a psychological problem. You are right. It is healthy to solve things. It's not a psychological problem. Steven Crowder has anger problems. It's not a psychological issue. Like when we say psychological, we're talking about some sort of like categorization of a mental illness, normally like BPD or um, something like that, like
Well,
something that we can actually
what would you say being averse to conflict is, if not a
uh,
psychological problem?
a personality trait issue. Like, yeah,
Being conflict avoidant.
yeah, of course, yeah,
So you so that's a cycle. Oh, you're saying a personality trait issue. So a character flaw.
yeah, sure.
Well, I think most character flaws have psychological, like, I mean, if you are what's a character flaw? If you lie a lot, that has a psychological basis from some past
Yeah,
trauma or something.
everything has a psychological basis. Like all personality traits have a psychological basis, but that doesn't mean that we would call it a psychological problem, right? That's like I said, when we say psychological problem, we're talking about like mental illnesses.
Okay, well, I mean, he said he'd release the records. I believe from her actions that she is at least, you could say, immature. She is immature. But I
Yeah,
don't
maybe.
like, yeah. So, but what I'm saying is like, okay, this conversation, I've seen this happen, okay? What happens is the mother feels all this guilt, or let's just say wife. The wife feels all this guilt. She can't, it's not healthy for her to feel all this guilt because it's not her fault, right? But she takes it on herself and then she says, "This is too much. I can't bear this." Somebody must be to blame here, and it can't all be me. So then she turns it on the husband and she says, "You know what? You're making me feel all this guilt. You're abusing me." If he's pointing out her
Wait,
flaws,
she
right?
didn't
And
say,
then
but that's not what she said. She didn't say anything about feeling guilt or anything. Like it,
I know
that,
I'm reading that into the situation, but let's just assume she is failing him as a wife. Let's just assume that.
okay. I already am assuming that.
Okay, so I would assume she feels guilty for that because both of them like practiced abstinence before they were married and they both agreed to have like a what they thought was a traditional Christian marriage. So
Hmm.
she agreed to something and now she can't fulfill it.
Hmm.
And I would assume you would feel guilty for that because it's not the guy's fault and it's also not your fault. I think it's from like it's from psychological issues. They got married young and they didn't have a lot I don't know exactly, but I don't think they had a lot of experience and that's not always great. Getting married young is not always great. You end up like taking a lot of your issues out on your spouse. But anyways, she transfers the guilt to the husband. And when he points out her flaws, she says, "Oh, I get it. You're the one making me feel all this guilt. You're the one trying to make me feel bad." And so she projects it onto him. He's not trying to make her feel bad. He's trying to say, "You can do better than this." But she feels all this guilt. She gets overwhelmed. And then she starts turning on him and says, like, "You know what? You're an abuser. I'm leaving you. I can't do this anymore." And sure, she might want to get out of the marriage, and that might be a good idea. But to say that it's the husband's fault is a projection of guilt, I think, and it's understandable. But I think that's why he was reacting like that because I've seen this happen. The husband goes, "What? I thought we were doing this together. I thought we were like gonna be married. I thought you agreed to this. What are you doing? Like I trusted you." And she turns on him more and more, and she starts calling him abusive, and she starts threatening things, and then eventually she walks out. I mean, my
Hmm.
mother, I know it's projection, I know it's not the same thing, but my mother did abandon me and my siblings and my father, and I totally understand that. I'm not saying it's exactly the same situation, but I have seen this happen. And it does happen that women fail because of issues from their past. They get guilty and then they blame it on other people because they can't handle the guilt.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
what I see.
Again, this is mostly what I assume is happening. Like I assume that she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing. I
Mhm.
assume that yeah, she's being um probably conflict avoidant, probably too much. It seems like yeah, um she's probably like overly emotional and having trouble engaging. It seems like she's she's not understanding that he's like drawing a bunch of boundaries that she wants him to negotiate on, and he's not willing to negotiate on those things. Like there are tons. I agree with pretty much all of this. Yes, of course, but I just don't think that changes anything at all. Like I don't think any of that changes any of this.
Well, I guess what I would say is I think when a man is put in that situation, I think he does tend to get frustrated and kind of like, are you seriously doing this right now? And he might, he might say things in a more aggressive way than he would usually to kind of snap her out of it because he's thinking like, no, 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 we're still doing this. You're just kind of having having a whatever temper tantrum or like you're just having a problem, but we're gonna get through this. And he can see she's slowly turning on him, and then I think men are generally trusting, and I think it would go the other way too. And they trust their wife, and she turns on him, turns on him, turns on him, until he realizes, like, oh shit, I should have been defending myself because now she's really going after me. And she did go after him. I mean, she saved these tapes for 2 years, right? I mean, he didn't realize he was gonna get fucked.
Well, we have no. We are, I don't know that she necessarily saved the tapes to go after him. They immediately clipped those and downloaded them and took them to their therapist to talk about. Like I have no freaking idea if that's the case. And on top of that, the journalist keeps saying that he had them for a documentary. So like I don't know what the again, I don't know what that means. I don't know what the documentary is. I don't know why he
Yeah,
has them. I don't
yeah,
understand it at all. But again, like yes, the I agree. I can agree with all of this. I don't think it changes whether or not like he's using abusive language. Like it doesn't change it. It's still the same. Um, I can empathize with his frustration. I can think it's more understandable that he's talking the way that he is. I can think all of these things, just as I'm not going to excuse her because just because she's overly emotional, her being overly conflict avoidant, her not being willing to like stay and and resolve the issue, do what it is that he's expecting of her, like um
yeah.
her refusing to go take an Uber, her refusing to walk the dogs or give them the medicine. Like I'm not excusing any of those things either, but the things that she's doing are not abusive. The things that he's doing are abusive, right? That's the difference.
I think if you agree with me, then you would say that it is abusive. I completely understand, and I hope I never find myself in this situation. But like, I completely understand if you get married, you want to do the traditional thing, you want to have kids, and then you find yourself getting overwhelmed. But it still is abusive to take the guilt that you feel for getting in that situation and turn it on your husband. That is abusive to start projecting it onto him.
Well, I
That's wrong to do. You should say, what's going on here is that
no,
I'm
no, 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 no,
overwhelmed.
hold on. Because if he's actually being abusive, she's not turning anything on him. In that clip, he is actually being abusive. In the very first thing that he says at the beginning of the clip is, "I draw the line at abusive and cruel." That's the
Yeah,
first thing he says. I draw the line
yeah.
at cruel and abusive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it doesn't seem like all that far fetched to think that this is like something that she's tried talking to him about before. Some of the language that they use in the video sounds like therapeutic language, like language that their therapist has given to them to be able to communicate with one another in these conflicts. Like it sounds like they've been having these issues for a while. Um, and I'm not saying it's issues with him just being abusive. Obviously, she has her own issues in this scenario, but that again, what that wouldn't be her being abusive if he's actually being abusive and she points out that he's being abusive. That doesn't make her abusive. Like that's ridiculous.
Well, I think you basically agree with me. So,
What the hell? What the hell?
I want to ask you.
What the? What is that? What are you?
Tom,
What mind
I see
tricks
you,
are you playing over here?
I see you as sort of like a father figure on YouTube. So I want to ask you a couple questions because I'm kind of
You
having
are
some
not
problems.
gonna manipulate me, little girl, okay? That is not
Yeah,
happening.
see, you're already doing it. Okay, great. So keep going with that language. Okay, so you have looked into my thing with my mom a little bit.
Somewhat. I saw like the videos of her doing like the sock puppet show where she's arguing with the sock puppet over whether or not she should be asking people for money.
Yeah. I actually like I like her, you know, I'm not like totally against my mom. It's like I think she does funny stuff, but you know, whatever. But I did want to ask you, like, so the problem the question I have about her, right, is like, okay, so just take my word for it for a minute that she got overwhelmed. Um she kind of like shut down emotionally and she was living here with my 11-year-old brother and my 13-year-old sister. And she just kind of shut down and she kind of couldn't take it anymore and she was barely there for them like emotionally or physically or whatever. And like not even close with me and my three other brothers who are older. So, um, she just kind of left. And for the past 6 weeks, she hasn't really talked to any of us. And I wanted to say, like, what do you like? What is the morality of that? You know what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to think about that? Am I like? It kind of seems like she wants to get a divorce from her kids, even more than my dad. Really, it's not really about my dad. And I guess here's the thing. I keep going back and forth between like, okay, I understand you're overwhelmed, but also you have responsibilities that you're obligated to fulfill. So I'm curious as to your thoughts. I don't really know what to make of it.
It it's from what you've said and from what
Mm-hmm.
I've gathered from the videos, even before you said these things, but the things that you've said in this call just kind of reaffirm what it is that I've already believed, that she's just not um she doesn't sound fit to be a parent. And it sounds like
Mm-hmm.
she is recognizing her inability to be a parent and removing herself from that scenario. Whether it's her removing herself from the scenario because she thinks she'll be bad for you guys, or because you guys are bad for her and it's like too stressful for her and she just has to get away in order to have her own mental health, one way or the other, it sounds like her leaving is probably good in one way or the other.
I agree with that. And the problem is not so much that I have with her leaving. I guess the problem is that I, I just, I have a problem as the oldest kid. And I get that this is family stuff, but whatever, we can just talk about it if you want. Um, like what she's doing is she's kind of saying like, doesn't it seem extreme to you that like she just says like I can't do anything to help? I mean, I'm 20 years old. My career is taking off. I'm obviously blowing up everywhere, and everybody loves me, including you. So I don't have time to like. I, I'm a young woman. I'm doing something with my life, and she agreed to have kids, and she's kind of like dropping the onus of that responsibility on me and my dad. And me and my dad are like working on our careers, which is what a father and older child should be doing. So nobody's really here to like cook. I mean, like, you know, it's like takeout most of the time, clean, and sort of like, you know, we try our best, but it's like obviously something's missing. Somebody should be here to take them places and get them stuff and do their laundry and whatever else. And I just think it's kind of extreme to say I'm not going to help at all. I think I get angry about it because I'm like, what the fuck? You are not going to help at all. Like your mental stability is so off that you can't help your own children.
I
That's
can
my.
understand why you would get upset about it.
Mhm.
It makes perfect sense. You probably feel like resentful, like she's abandoning you guys. Like um, you probably think she doesn't care enough to do these things. Um, it it's unlikely to actually be the case. It's likely that she's just actually not capable. Like that is a possibility that people are in those scenarios, and from the stuff that I've gathered, it seems like she's actually not capable.
So you're kind of making like it's fine. She's not going to see this. You're kind of making the argument that like she's kind of crazy, essentially. Like not fit to like, you know, kind of like padded cell. But I know you're not saying it
Not
totally that,
padded
but
cell necessarily, could be. I don't know enough to make that statement, but yeah, probably not enough to be a parent. Yeah.
okay. and I know you don't know much about the situation, but like I know my mom. I know that she is a rational person. Yes, does she have her moments? Yes. But she's I guess what I'm saying is like, am I or am I not supposed to be morally outraged at the idea that she can't cook a meal for her own kids and help in that way? Like nobody's asking her to like be the best mom ever and like, be super there for them emotionally, but there are like basic needs that she could help with that she's just refusing to help with.
Was she doing those things before she left?
Well, I think she was doing them, but it was low level, barely getting the laundry done, barely getting dinner cooked or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was because she was saying like I think that's because she was putting a lot of pressure on herself and saying like I have to make this all work. I think if she took the pressure off, she could say, okay, okay, I'm not the best mom in the world. Whatever, it might not be her, it's probably not her, it's not her fault. But she could say, like, okay, I can help in these ways, but I'm not going to put all this pressure on myself to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, doesn't she have to, like, recognize her limitations and still be, like, as responsible a parent as she can be?
Maybe. So if the issue for her doing the things is that she's too stressed out, but what's causing the stress is her being there and not doing the things, it's just a vicious cycle to where like what's causing the stress is also uh what's stopping her from doing the things, but like her not doing the things is what's causing the stress, and so it seems like an impossible situation where like it's just, yeah, it
Right.
just seems like she's going to be incapable one way or the other.
But, like, I'm not trying to bash her. I'm really not. I'm just asking you this as a person. At this point, if there was like a medical emergency or any kind of emergency, I could not contact her. My family
Mm-hmm.
could not contact her
Yeah.
to help. I can't help but think that like you can't just do that to your own family. Like just you're not the mother of your children. You can't. I think what it is pride. I think it's pride. I think she refute. I think what she's saying is I wanted it all. I wanted the husband, I wanted the happy family, I wanted the big house, I wanted the birthdays and everything else. And if I'm not going to get that, then I'm not going to be like your servant. I'm not going to, I'm not going to recognize my limitations and help in the ways I can. And I don't even mind if she has her own place or whatever. I think that would probably be better. But like, she's saying it's all or nothing. And I just think that's not fair for a mother to say. Like, maybe you have limitations, but you should help your kids.
But it doesn't seem like it's all or nothing. It seems like it's nothing or nothing.
But why can't she have her own place and come over during the day when, like, if she's triggered by my dad or she's triggered by me, why can't, like, we can go to our studio and she can help with the kids and whatever. She can get paid if she wants. Like, it's whatever. It's just like, why can't we work something out? Why does it have to be all or nothing? And you're just like, it's not my job to raise these kids. And it's not really the father's job either, especially if he's trying to provide for them, to work to provide for them. So there's just this gap. And I'm sorry, but you had these kids. You can't just say, it's all or nothing. I have to, like, I'm divorcing my kids. I'm not seeing them again. I'm not responsible. You can't, you know, I just don't think that's fair.
Yeah, I'm sure it sucks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's tough, because I know that of course it just makes me feel like, okay, I see my siblings and I'm like, I really want to help them, but I also want to do like streaming and there's lots of opportunities and it's just like, I don't know, why am I responsible for this woman having kids? Like, okay, you had kids, you have limitations. She won't even, like, she used to stream or at least make YouTube videos about her problems. Even if she couldn't talk to us, she was like, okay, it's helpful for me to get this out and just talk about it with other people. She doesn't even do that anymore. She's completely cut off communication.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. It's
I don't know
probably
what to
stressful.
say.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, there's nothing really I can do. There's just nothing I just think she's wrong to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, like I said, it's possible that this actually is what's best, and I'm sure it's like hard to see it that way, but it is it is very possible and even likely that this is probably actually what's best, and that even if it's probably not just best for her, probably also best for you guys. And I know for you that sucks because then you have to take on the brunt of everything, and it's all a bunch of stuff that you didn't sign up for. You don't want to be a mom, you don't want to do all this freaking stuff, but that might actually just still be what's best.
But could she be wrong?
Yeah, obviously she could be, but I I I doubt I doubt she would have left if she wasn't that sure. Cause like she probably doesn't want to hurt you guys. She probably doesn't want to look like a bad mom. She probably doesn't want to, be out on the streets living in a freaking car. This is not ideal for her in any way whatsoever. This
She's
is
she's not
probably
she's not living in a car, just so you know. She lied about that.
so where is she living now?
She went to my dad's father and told him that my dad was abusing her and is mooching off of him currently. Yeah.
Based on this conversation, I have very little faith that you could actually tell me whether or not that was true.
Well, I mean, my grandpa sent me an email. He sent me and my dad and
No,
all of
I have very little faith that you can tell me whether or not your dad is actually being abusive.
Oh, well, even if he was, what a like you don't think that's a backstabbing move to go to your ex, like whatever. I guess she considers him her ex. Your ex's father and turn him against his own son. And he's wrong for doing it. I mean, I think you
Not
should
if he's
support
actually
your
being
son.
abusive. No, not if he's actually being abusive. No, I
Yeah,
don't
but
think so.
she doesn't like now she claims he's abusive, but she wasn't claiming that before.
Well, yeah,
So
she
she,
probably wasn't claiming that to like his kids, but even in this conversation, the way that you talk, you are like, you sound like a stereotypical abuse victim with Stockholm syndrome. Like,
Tom,
you,
can you save me? Can you fix me?
no,
Am I
no
unfixable?
shot, no
No.
shot, no shot.
Give me a break. I don't sound like an abuse victim. Do abuse victims go on streams with 20,000 people watching and crush it?
Yes, especially narcissists who become narcissists because they're abuse victims. Yes, all the time.
Oh, so I'm a narcissist now.
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I've heard you like crazy girls, so we can work with it.
That's.
I think I'm fixable. I have problems, not because I'm abused,
I hope
just
somebody
because I
fixes
have
you.
family problems.
I hope somebody fixes you.
Why not
Okay,
you?
because I have my hands full with enough crazy women.
Okay, fine. Fine. Go fix Lav. She's fixable
But
for sure. Not me.
I I am not interested in fixing Lab.
You say my dad's abusive. Okay, even let's just say even if he was abusive, even if you grant her that, how could he be abusive when she left? Like he wasn't abusing
Well,
her then.
he's not. That's why she left.
So why does she need to mooch off of somebody else?
Well, does she have a
Why
job?
can't she make her own money? No.
Well, then you just answered your own question.
Why can't she get a job?
Well, it sounds like she's got issues.
And there you go. But
I
I
mean, if
still
she's
think you
incapable
should.
of like doing dishes and making a meal once in a while, it sounds like she's gonna have a lot more trouble working a job as well.
Well, if you're so mentally incompetent that you can't like have a job at McDonald's, maybe you should go to like a mental institution if you can't handle that. I mean, crackheads can handle a job at McDonald's.
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
agree.
pride. I think she doesn't want a job at McDonald's. And also,
Maybe.
me and my dad both left this house that she was staying at. With like she said, I can't handle being around like you and your father. It's just like triggering whatever. So we left. We left for like a year. And we basically for the first 4 months because it was so crazy, we basically didn't contact her at all. We just said like, "You know what? You have your space. We'll go somewhere else. We'll find somewhere else. We left in the middle of a blizzard and we were like, okay, we don't have anything set up, but it just got so crazy that we were like, okay, just need to make this happen. We lived in the back of a car for a little while and then we got a place together. How is that abuse? If she said like my dad was so desperate to kind of keep things together that he was like, "Okay, just I'll give you some space. I'll get my own place so that you don't have to be around me." And maybe that'll calm things down to the point where we can work this out. Does that sound like abuse?
I I I don't know. I have no idea. I I have no freaking idea. I can tell you that we had this conversation probably the first time I met you guys. Is that like I think your dad's funny. I think the jokes that he makes about like um incest and all this stuff, I think it's freaking hilarious. Making the jokes in front of you and around you is very weird. That is really weird. And I think that it would make any like kid have freaking psychological problems later on in life when somebody makes those jokes around them.
Well, I can understand you saying that, except the thing is that me and my dad went on YouTube about 7 months ago, and we didn't talk about any of that stuff. We were just commenting on, politics and religion and stuff like that. We had a show. And then people started saying first that he was pimping me out, like Andrew BPF did a whole thing, like your daughter's a whore and you're pimping her out, whatever. Great,
Mhm.
thank you, Andrew. And then, people eventually started moving into like, oh, he's pimping her out and he's also blah 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 whatevering with her. So when you go through that kind of thing together, and I'm an
Sure.
adult,
Okay,
you
yeah.
end up making jokes about it with each other because it's like,
Sure.
okay, well, I mean, like we're both experiencing this, and it's not like I'm gonna quit YouTube because trolls are like,
Okay.
oh, you know what
I
I
get that.
mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, it's like I get that to people at first, it's like, yes, he does use sort of what's the word? Tawdry language, lewd, but like it's understandable because people say such crazy things to us that we're super used to joking about it.
Sure. Yeah, I get that part. Um yeah, I don't know. I like the it just the fact that like almost everybody that I have a conversation with about the Steven Crowder stuff can admit that he's using abusive language. You are like the only person who is so blinded to this stuff that you're incapable of even seeing these things. Um, that yeah, it seems like you have just this massive blind spot, and there's probably a reason for that. There's something there that is keeping you from being able to see this for what it is. It seems like you are like terrified of looking at it for what it is, and you play a bunch of mind games. As soon as I like put something right in your face, you start playing all sorts of games to be like the I'm gonna fuck you up quote. Like to think that that's anything but a physical threat is just it. Nobody in the world is buying that. You are probably the only person ever who is going to make that argument.
To think it's a physical threat when there's no history of physical abuse and she's 8 months pregnant and
Again,
he's not a
physical
violent
abuse
man
is not the
is
same as
crazy.
making a
That's what's
threat.
crazy.
Those are different things. Making a threat is very different from being abusive.
No, that is abusive. If you're physically threatening somebody, that's
Physically
abuse.
abusive, yes, but you're saying just because he made the physical threat that therefore he either has to be abusive or that he didn't make the physical threat. And I'm saying that's not even true. Like one has nothing to do with the other. He can make physical threats without ever being physically abusive.
Okay, but physical threats are physically abusive. You don't have to follow through on them for them to be abusive.
No, not
Or at least
physically
you.
abusive. They are emotional abuse. They are not
Okay,
physical
okay, I can see
abuse.
that. Yeah, okay, I can see
Physical
that.
abuse is physical.
But Tom, don't you think maybe everybody else is blind? Maybe everybody else is blind. Maybe he's saying to a woman is maybe he's saying to a woman he committed to and who he thinks is committed to him. I thought we were doing this together and he's frustrated. And maybe everybody is so anti-masculine that they're just saying, "Oh, it's abuse because he yelled at her.
You're
It's abuse because a
joking when
man is
you
showing his
say
anger."
you're joking when you say maybe everyone else is blind, right?
No, I'm not.
You are a sociopath. You really are. You're a freaking sociopath. You are you
You love it.
actually be like literally everybody but me is wrong though, right? Like doesn't that make sense that I happen to be the only one who can see things?
Well, couldn't it be that somebody who everybody else is saying way off could be right? I mean, the bandwagon fallacy is a fallacy for a reason, right?
It's possible, but it is so very very unlikely.
Well, a lot of people were in favor for the crucifixion. Doesn't mean it was right. Most people said, like, yeah, crucify him. Does that make them right? Just because weren't the people who said, I mean, I don't know if you're a Christian, but even if you're not, you
No,
understand the story.
I do.
Okay. Does that make them right just because they all thought it?
I no, but there were also large groups of people who were against it as well. So it wasn't like one person sitting there by themselves saying I'm right and the rest of the world is wrong.
Only Mary and I think the Apostle John were there for our Lord when he was crucified. Two
Sure,
people. Even his other apostles
you're talking
abandoned
about who
him.
was actually at the cross. We know in general there were large groups of people who were in favor of Jesus, and that's why they crucified him, is because he was gaining a larger and larger following. So
Well,
it
but
wasn't
even his own
just them.
followers, everybody turned their back on him, right? Everybody except two, literally two people when he was literally being killed for no reason. And
Yeah,
everybody else, a
wait,
lot
wait,
of
wait.
other people thought it was a
No, no,
good
no.
idea.
You're talking about when people's lives were like literally under threat. That's very different from like them actually being against him. They weren't actually against him. They were just terrified.
Well, it's cowardly to turn your back and not be there for somebody who's being killed for no reason.
Sure.
It
I'm just
is. You
it's you're not wrong. It's totally you're going way off course. The question is, was it just one person who was right and everybody else was wrong? And I'm saying no, that wasn't the case. Everybody else still believes the same thing. They just weren't allowed to say it. I don't think that there's like a ton of people out there who think that saying I'm gonna fuck you up isn't a physical threat. You're on your own on that one.
don't you don't you see though that everybody's joining jumping in on this and saying he's I mean, isn't it classic mob mentality? You rush to judgment even though there's evidence for
Yes, and
her.
I've been arguing against these people. I think that they're all a bunch of idiots. I think that all of these people are freaking crazy. But you are literally the same thing, just on the opposite side. You are literally doing the same thing, just on the opposite end.
No, because I'm not saying Hillary's a piece of shit. They want to say he's a piece of shit. He's abuser. He's an abuser of women. He treats women badly. They want to say that. I'm not saying that. I'm not bashing her, am I? Am I?
You're,
I'm saying
you're saying
that
she's abusive, yeah.
I'm saying she is overwhelmed and she's taking it out on him. I do think that's
You
abusive, but I
literally
don't
said
think
that
she
she's
sees what
abusive.
she's
Yeah,
doing.
you said she's using Darvo tactics like that. Yes, that is abusive.
Yeah, okay, she's I don't know what Darvo tactics means.
Darvo is where like you do something wrong and then you turn it around on the other person and get mad at them for it.
Oh, okay. Sure. I mean, okay. Do I think she's choosing? I think you can be abusive without meaning to be or without realizing what you're doing. I think in her heart she knows that he's a good guy and she's just freaking out. I think that's what she's doing. But I think she knows he's a good guy. I refuse to believe that a guy who's this disciplined, who's made this much of like he's made a career for himself, he has a extremely popular show, that this guy is you know, just like somebody who wants to hurt her.
Sure, those are
But you know
different
what?
things.
You
Whether or
are
not
very
he's
fair.
being whether or not he's being like um emotionally abusive is like it doesn't necessarily mean that he's like a bad guy or that she thinks that he's a horrible guy or anything like that. It uh just means that he has anger issues, which is stuff that he's admitted to numerous times. So
Well, you and Destiny are the most fair. You definitely are like
I'm way more
very,
fair
very
than
fair
Destiny.
and way more
Destiny
attractive.
Destiny wishes he could be as fair as me. Yes, and as attractive as me. Yeah.
Well, I you can call this a grift or whatever, but I think I should be Crowder's rebound girl.
Based. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not
You guys could abuse each other. That would be great.
Well, you call it abuse. I call it holding somebody to a higher standard. But
Yes, you need somebody to keep you in check.
exactly, but I'm not
Watch
looking
it.
for a relationship.
Watch it. I'm gonna fuck you
I'll
up.
feed you know, I just think he needs some feminine support in his life at this point. I think he's being attacked by his wife, and I think she's confused, but I think, you know, I could just be like, just be there for him. I'll listen to him complain, take a dip in his pool, and feed the dogs their medicine, and maybe hold down the fort while everything's going crazy. Because the poor guy deserves a break. I mean, come on. Don't you think?
I, anybody who dates you is taking advantage of your mental state.
Well, wouldn't it be so
Just
he's
go
taking
become a
advantage
stripper
of
like
me?
every other chick with issues. Just you'll make a lot more money that way.
Tom,
Hmm.
I love you. I'm committed to you, but your abuse is sick.
Okay.
Calling me a stripper
I didn't call you
is
a stripper. I said
degrading,
you should be a
demoralizing,
stripper.
and disrespectful.
Okay.
Hey, look, I'm an e-girl. It's basically the same thing, except I just get dopamine hits off of talking to people online rather than dancing on a pole.
Do it. Yeah, so you're pretty much doing it anyways.
You can be the first member to sign up for my OnlyFans. I'm going to be doing smoking and gun fetishes. Should be fun.
That what? Wait, smoking and gun. Wait, is it two? Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
So you're interested. Okay.
Wait. Is it smoking fetishes and gun fetishes, or are you smoking while doing gun fetishes?
Well, I asked a lot of people what I can do on OnlyFans that isn't explicitly sexual, but like would get me some money, and people suggested smoking because a lot of people like to see girls smoke for some reason, and also guns. A lot of guys have girls with guns fetishes. So I don't know if I can show it on your stream, but I have some BB guns that
Hmm?
I could like, you know, I can get a holster and like I don't know what they would want me to do with it, but you know, point it at them or whatever. Threaten to.
This?
There we go. Exactly. Wait, I have one.
Do you?
This is kind of big,
Oh wow. Yeah.
but this should work. There's no BBs loaded into it right now.
Yeah, you'll need to get a.
So I'll send you the link once it's up. You can be the first member.
Okay. I'm super stoked. But wait. Okay. So it's not smoking fetishes. You're just smoking while doing gun fetishes.
Well, I don't really know what a smoking fetish would be,
Well,
except
I
for
don't
somebody
either. That's why
smoking.
I'm asking. I would love to know.
Well, I'll have to get into the niche. I was hoping maybe you could help me out, but I assume you're a gun fetish kind of guy.
No, not at all.
I'll take that as a maybe. Okay, I'm gonna hop off. Thanks for having me on, Tom.
All
Love you.
right.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. That girl is doomed, bro. She is doomed. She is doomed, bro. There is no there is no hope for that girl, bro. There is no hope for her. Oh man. She is lost in the sauce, dude. I love that girl. I don't speak easy. I don't want to hear it, bro. You're the one acting like I'm weird for liking crazy chicks. You cannot turn around and like the craziest of the crazy chicks. That is not acceptable.
Really edgy kids, but no, that wasn't normal, dog. Damn, where the fuck do you think I'm from?
Try again. He does not say snarky things. He doesn't say
Really?
snarky things.
When he says,
No.
when he says, now, when he says, I ask you to take the dog, and he says, no, you don't think that sounds like snarky? He literally sounds like a dog when he says it. When he
It's not
says,
snarky, it's frustration.
when he
Hey,
says, when he
okay,
says,
next.
I don't love you, that's the big problem. That's not like a little bit snarky?
I don't think it's snarky. I don't think he's trying to win the argument. I think he's frustrated. I don't think it's snarky. Snarky would be like, well, guess what? I don't love you, so there, or something like that. Like,
Clark W super chatted $2. That chick is crazy.
Yeah, thank you, Clark. True. Tom, do you think Destiny changed his position on the Crowder situation? No. No, he's literally saying the same thing as me. The first thing that I saw of his was him talking to Kidology about this. I hadn't seen him talk about this at all. He talked to Kidology about this. He was literally saying all the same things as me. All the same things as me. But both of us keep fighting against both sides of this, where we're telling both sides they're wrong. And every time we fight against a different side, people are like, oh, he's changing positions. Oh.
He's saying, well, I you because all you do is use love as a way to control me, as a way to say, shut up, Steven.
When you say things like, are you committed enough to do those things?
That's abusive to say to somebody? Are you committed enough? She's not doing them, right? She didn't feed the dog the medicine. There's some evidence that she isn't doing what he's asking her to do.
When he condescendingly asks, feeling some constraints?
How is it wrong to point out if somebody's leaving you right before they're getting served? How is that abusive? That's frustrating him.
When he asks the question, how do you respect men?
Yeah, they're both traditional Christians. He's saying, all right, do you want to go over it? You're not treating me the way we agreed that you would treat, the way that you would treat like you treat men as a traditional Christian.
When she's overstepping a little and he's saying, watch it, fucking watch it.
That's totally understandable. If I was married and I said to my husband, you're abusing me, you are abusing me, that would be crossing a line that is...
Wait, Darius is here? Where's Darius? I don't see Darius. Darius, show yourself.
serious to cross. I'm not saying that he deserves to like hit me or something, but it's breaking the relationship, isn't it? To say like,
oh yeah, there he is. Chill, that's my girlfriend. My goodness. You guys, dude, you guys are the ones who like freaking crazy chicks, okay? I have to get away from that meme now, okay? I have to get away from it. It was funny for like half a second. Everybody took it seriously. But Darius is in here like, yo, that's my girl. Y'all are the ones. Y'all are the ones, okay? It's you guys.
your abuse is sick. That's
What if she feels like he's
cutting off
being
the trust.
What if she feels like he's being abusive though?
Sorry.
You're okay.
What if she feels like he's being abusive?
She was on Darius' stream earlier.
Yeah. Wait, how do you get out of your room?
There's two doors. It's an old house.
Oh, because you have like your closet like blocked off by that table in the background. I'm very confused by the arrangement of the door and the.
That's actually a door to the other room. There's 3 doors in here. It's kind of crazy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's an old colonial. Everybody went everywhere apparently. No privacy. Look,
Gotcha.
Destiny.
Yeah.
You basically agree with me. I can see you basically agree with me. Here's an idea. Okay, I will.
What? She's freaking. What is she doing, dude? You're looking at my future ex-wife. Oh my goodness, you guys. You guys. See. You guys gotta take some notes. See, this is how you do it. Make them think you're totally not interested. That's how you do it. This is women. You think women do well at playing hard to get? Men can do it much better. Trust me.
will quit smoking forever if you agree to be my partner in this debate.
I'm not gonna take the negative on if Stephen Crowder was abusive. There's no way.
Do it for my lungs. Come on.
This
I'll
is
give up
this
smoking forever.
request is abusive. I'll debate the other side of you if you want, but I'm not gonna fucking no. Even rhetorically, even as a fucking flex for debating, I wouldn't do it because people actually think that. So, I just graduated from high school last year, and I'm excited to hop into debates about what I think good marriages should look like. Like, what the fuck? So I'm really excited because yesterday my boyfriend finally got his driver's license. You know, like Jesus Christ. Would you call this abusive? They have real jobs and families? Fuck out of here. I know you old fucks in my chat don't have real jobs and families. What is this? Ben Thorp, aka Apple, and Thorp Autokos. What is this?
You know better than that.
I didn't know Joe was behind you.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. And
You didn't know? No, that's a lie.
Okay.
That is a damn lie. You didn't know Joey was right there behind you?
Oh shit. Is she crazy?
Retard. You know better than that.
I didn't know Joe was behind you.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. And
You didn't know? No, that's a lie.
Okay.
That is a damn lie. You didn't know Joey was right there behind you?
no, I can't see him. Look at the screen.
Turn your head
Oh
around.
my god!
He's right there. You saw him.
Grace,
That's
why?
a big deal. I'm just saying that's a lie.
Grace.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Yes, that's the mom. Yeah.
We gotta.
We don't really speak very highly.
Oh, Melina.
Time for the
Wait,
big-
stop!
We don't really.
It was a joke? Wait, was it a joke? Wait, are you sure?
Retard. You know better than that. I didn't know Joe was behind you. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. And you didn't know? No, that's a lie. Okay. That is a damn lie. You didn't know Joey was right there behind you? No, I can't see him. Look at the screen. Turn your head around.
Grace, it doesn't look like you're joking. Is this your mom?
You saw him. I'm not saying it's a big deal, but I'm just saying that's a lie.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't. The mom does not look like she's joking.
All the older people are creating media empires while you're in the trenches. True. She is not happy, Grace. This is a...
Joe, yeah, time to go to bed. All right, just 1 second.
Okay, stop. Okay, Jesus. Okay. Oh my god, you're like a little psychopath. What happened to your scene that scuffed his... Oh, it's because that was for Starcraft. It was for drama content. My mother was in on it, Limeo. Bro, I don't know if I believe you. Oh man. Where are we at? What are we doing today, guys?
You guys are all a bunch of dicks in there, like, oh, tell this little brat to shut up. She's being such a brat. My parents love me. Okay? My parents love each other. My parents are normal. My dad doesn't make jokes about incest around my sisters. I feel for this chick. I feel for her. She is a little sociopath. And you guys are all like, tell this brat to shut up. Tell her to stop being a little brat. It probably sucks, dude. It probably sucks. She is in a rough situation. And it's probably rough. I don't know. Let's see.
I get $5 content for. Well, I never mind. Okay, thanks, enslaved. Okay, so we'll just do a little bit more of sock puppet. If you want to donate to my Cash App, apparently it's there. I get 20 in it, which is great, and so I really appreciate it, you guys. I really do. I think you guys like the sock puppet, so I'll do this. Like, okay, so what are you doing? You're supposed to be making a case for somebody to come on stream. You're not making a case. Well, I'm asking them, and I know I'm not making a good case. Make the case that people should give you money. Why are we here? What's wrong with you that you wouldn't ask people for money? I agree. Like I've given them a lot of good content for a long time. What's the problem? Don't yell at them. See, that's what you do. You're just hostile. You just yell. Do you think people are going to give you money for yelling at them? Yeah, you're right? I'm sorry. Like, I shouldn't have yelled at my chat, and I'm sure they want to give me money. I'm just not quite sure how to get it. I'm spiraling. Spiral then. Go ahead, see what happens. Okay, so I'm just gonna spiral. I'm spiraling. Like, it's weird to ask for money, and like,
So we have people who already have made up their minds about, well, it needs to support this, it can't be
Okay, you're banned too, you fucking
not
idiot.
orthodox.
This might suck, according to you, but it's better than any content you've ever made in your life. You'd kill your fucking daddy for 400 live viewers. For 400 live viewers, Grace. Get out of my fucking chat, loser. Get the fuck out of here. Get out, moron. Guess what else, too? I won't even lose your view. You'll talk shit about it, and you'll still be watching the whole fucking thing. They're gonna come in here and be like, this is a boring con. Go talk about your mommy issues online again and cry about them again, Grace. For the 300th time.
Tell me this isn't a sociopath. Tell me this is not a sociopath right now. Tell me, say it. Say it, Tom. You're wrong. She's not a sociopath. Say it. Say it. All right. I'm going to go to the restroom.